I think Atago sucks. There, I said it. Mogami is way better. Now hold your horses, Atago fans. I hear you grabbing your pitchforks and torches, but before I get wrecked, Atago has some really cool qualities. For instance, have you ever paid attention to how amazing Atago's freeboard is? Thin bevels, baby. It really protects her and makes her a lot tankier than Mogami. Not to mention the better deck armor and amazing torpedo angles. Atago is one of the only IJN cruisers that has these awesome torp angles that you can kind of use for brawling. Now, Atago is not a great brawler, but she definitely does it better than Miyoko, Mogami, or Zhao. A lot of matches come to that point where it's going to be a knife fight to win the game, and Atago can hold her own. She does a lot of things okay, but I think there are just so many ships now that I would rather take out at tier 7 than Atago. If I want to brawl Hipper and Amalfi, those are the best free ships to play for that. Long-range damage farming, look no further than the Mogami and the Suzuya. They're miles better. Just look at these DPM stats. Mogami, of course, was buffed in 5.8 with a faster reload and more HE shell damage, so she reloads a full 2 seconds faster than the Atago now. And Suzuya is available for the same amount of global XP than Atago and is, of course, very feared. That is one of the most fearsome fire spammers in the entire game. So I'm going to dump on Atago a little bit today, but I'm also going to show you a pretty ridiculous 3700 base game that comes down to the last few seconds. Because even though I want to hate this ship sometimes, she has her moments and games like this happen, and she can be a lot of fun. Now, I played about 10 to 12 battles to bring you guys this review to get a fresh look at this ship now in 23, 24. You know, good matches like this were the outlier. I would say I only had a handful of 3K base games. Maybe that's on me, but I honestly consider myself a pretty decent IJN cruiser commander, and usually firing up Zhao or Mogami leads to some pretty good games. Atago, it wasn't as easy for me. Skill issue? Hey, sure, maybe so. I think there's a special way to play this ship, and it's just not the same as Mogami and Zhao because she doesn't have that DPM, that insane potential to deal damage. What Atago does well, though, I would say she's the ambush queen. I really think her specialty is approaching from the cover of islands with all of your really slow traversing guns facing the correct way, jump scaring those stupid reds, and unleashing your load all over them. And then use your stealth and speed to escape, reset, and do it again. To me, that's what Atago is all about. The stealth, those short-range guns, and the better survivability than Mogami mean she should be played a little more fast and loose, as they say, than Mogami. The DPM just isn't there to sit and spam like Mogami, Ibuki, or Zhao. I think the best games that I had in her, I was a little more aggressive, like borderline stupid, possibly. And I definitely got yeeted once or twice, but yeah, I feel like you just have to be a little more aggressive in this ship to get the most out of her, to have a impact on the battle. Likely by the time you're on a flank and you've whittled down some of the ships on your side in Atago, the battle may have already been decided. So that's just been my experience. Now, before we go on with the ship video, I wanted to say it is brought to you by, well, me, but you guys chose the Atago, and this is going to be a new series where you get to pick what ship you want me to play, make a video on, review, so on and so forth. So in the comment section down below, let me know what ship you are interested in seeing in the next You Pick video, and whatever gets the most votes wins. Back to Atago. I've been setting mine up with none other than Azur Lane Atago. I know, that triggers folks so bad because that commander's not coming back to the game. But if you're free to play, you can still get good results out of Mikawa. I feel like Mikawa is probably the better choice. But whatever you build into, you're going to have to focus on a few shortcomings of this ship. One is the painfully long reload for 203s, 16 seconds base, and the really short main battery range of 14.7 kilometers stock. Both of these things really hurt on this ship, so you can kind of move things around and find the best option for you. But my favorite way to balance these things is the turret traverse module, prop, reload, rudder in slot 3, and for your commander, keeping Ingenious on but using Kuznetsov and a triple booster battle flag to bring the range up to a decent 16.1. If you've come up with a better way to kind of balance out the reload, the traverse, and the bad main battery range, let me know. Some people, of course, swear by the double rudder. I know Hipper played like, I don't know, 1,500 matches in this ship. But I really think prop mod is the way to go, and I think eventually Hipper even switched to prop mod. It gives you a lot more versatility, and you can kind of watch my gameplay in this ship. We do a lot of starting and stopping, and if you prop juke well, you can dodge a lot of salvos, and if you prop juke poorly, which sometimes happens to me, you can get yeeted. But a lot of times I find it's just better to stop, shoot from one position, rather than to stay at full speed and continue turning around and turning around. Because again, with this ship, it's hard. The gun range is so short and the turret traverse speed is so slow. The more time you spend turning in circles with your double rudder, the more of the match goes by without dealing damage and having a big impact. Now sure, the other things about agile cruisers is that you tank damage for your team by enemies shooting at you, and I know all about that. I seem to be garnering a lot of attention nowadays, probably because I'm so toxic and people just want to sink me. But honestly, I would rather be able to accelerate more quickly than shave another 20% off the rudder shift time. Now, the gameplay in this video. The Zeton. We're trying to get him burnt down and finished off here, but really our team is in a decent position. We have A and B, and from here we're able just to kind of safely sit and farm. Now I say good position, and then I look around and, you know, I notice that, well, hey, I'm in a conglomerate of like 12 ships here, just sailing in a fleet, which is something you never want to see yourself doing. I was so focused on getting the cap and killing the Zeton, but we're going to do what you should do when you see the situation, and that is turn around and go the opposite direction of your team. You want to set up crossfires. You don't want to sail in a little black hole ball. That is a great way to lose games. So we're going to turn around, see if we can help with that destroyer. I think it's a Kagero in B. If our CV can spot him, I can drop him. And yeah, head back this way, stop their push around from C, and set up some crossfires. That's how you do it. Atago's survivability. Like we mentioned earlier, it's pretty decent if you're careful, partially because of the armor and the freeboard. The green parts, of course, 25mm, can be overmatched by 15-inch guns, mind you, but it's a pretty small area that an enemy can shoot when you're angling. If they shoot waterline and you're angled, you're going to bounce them off your belt. If they know where to shoot, like in this clip, they can definitely punch through and overmatch that 25mm of armor. The torpedoes, this guy had reversed all the way across the map, so I don't think this was intentional, but it just goes to show if you get complacent, even the tankiest of these IJN cruisers can go down pretty fast. The guns, we already mentioned the really slow reload. How slow is it? Well, it's the 4th slowest reload of all the Tier 7 cruisers, behind Siegfried, Azuma, and Congress. And of course, as you know, all of those ships have pretty massive guns. What, 380s and 305s, like pretty big guns. So this reload is slow. It's absolutely slow, and it can be painful to play sometimes. Now, interestingly enough, on PC, if I remember right, Atago also has slower velocity HE shells than Mogami, yet another handicap. I was curious about this on Legends, so I did a little testing, and it does look like they're actually the same. They both fly at the same velocity as far as I can tell, so that is a plus. The HE hit super hard, of course, and the fire chance is a very great 17% on Atago. And if you had Azerlane Atago, that buffs to 25%. And if you have that new Hagiro Commander, I think I had mine up to like 20.9 or 21.9%. She's 16.2 or 16.3, I think. But even the free-to-play Yamamoto can buff it to 22%. So it's really good. You're going to set lots of fires, and that's a way that you're going to get a lot of your damage. However, Atago's reload is so slow that every shot counts. You're not in one of these no-skill cruisers like Azerlane Shapayev or the Mines that just get to fire again in a few seconds. Nay, my friend, you're playing a classy ship, and you have to make every salvo count. The AP, it's pretty great on broadside opponents, especially if you catch a cruiser slacking. And of course, on my IJN builds, I always take fixated just for that occasion. You can definitely rip a cruiser a new a-hole, as they say. Onto the torps. You actually have two variants that you can throw on, and I love when we get these options in Legends. It adds a little variety to the game. You know, you're coming up against an Atago. Well, does he have 8-kilometer torps or 10-kilometer torps? I don't know. It just adds some variety and fun to the game. A little bit of customization, you know? So these F1 torpedoes, you can throw them on there. They'll be screaming at 76 knots. Or you can leave the longer range 10-kilometer ones on there, which I had for this game. The choice is yours. For the shortcomings of Atago, the torpedo armament is really scary and very robust, especially considering the angles at which she can dump them. I like the longer range torps for zoning areas out, especially at the middle beginnings of matches. But the short ones, if you're playing super aggressive, I mean, 76 knots is fast. Now the game in the background, we're tied. I love games like this. I like when you're down to the last 5 minutes and, well, the match is still actually going. That's a rarity in this game, it seems like. And we're tied up 4-4. The points are close. This is actually a fun World of Warships match, and they seem to be more rare for me nowadays. But anyways, we're making our way back across to C, and we're hunting someone, because this was a CV match, and that guy was last spotted over on C. Now, carriers pose a problem for Atago. Anytime a carrier is in the game, Atago is going to have a lot harder time to do well, mostly because you're going to be getting spotted a lot, and Atago relies on stealth to survive. Like in the opening minutes of this game, I could have been more aggressive getting closer to B cap, but the planes limited that. And the same from farming from behind island cover. Atago's AA is garbage. 90 on the DPS. It's very, very terrible. Now, the cat fighters do help with this, and in this game, we actually shot down 9 Graf Zeppelin planes by the end of it, I believe. But yeah, the AA is really awful. We have been able to move around the map pretty quickly, though. You can see we were all the way up on the top side of A. Now we're back over at C. And that's because Atago is fast AF boy. 35.5 knot stock. It's great. Without loading any skills into it and with the stock 8-second rudder shift, this is a pretty agile cruiser stock. The problem, of course, can be that you outturn your guns a lot with that horrendous traverse time. Ingenious helps, which is definitely why I like that one. And then, of course, the turret module in slot 1. We haven't made a ton of use of it in this game, I feel like, with the CV and the way we've been playing, but Atago is one of the sneakiest cruisers at tier 7. 11.7 kilometer stock is fantastic. Here is the graph. We've caught up to him. Now we're down on points, so we're gonna have to probably sink one of these ships. The Brandenburg next to me, you know, if he goes down, then we're definitely going to be in trouble. So we're gonna see if we can't sink the graph, head up this way, get on C cap and stop their points, all while not getting yeeted from the Gneisenau headed our way in the middle of the map. So yeah, we'll see if we can balance this out here, but this one's definitely pretty darn close with only 2 minutes left in the game. So some of these great qualities have helped us a lot in this match. You know, the speed, getting back over here, the stealth, moving around the map, and of course the murderous HE. We've put up decent damage numbers. Nothing like Mogami, nothing like Ibuki or Zhao, but still pretty decent damage, and all without a single torp hit. At the end of the day, I feel like Atago is definitely power crept. I mean, just look at Mogami, you know, in the last update. I felt like Mogami was better before, and now with its improved HE damage and reload, it is just much more potent, and it's free. Other ships, Amalfi. If you're looking for a sneaky, stealthy brawler type cruiser, Amalfi is better than Atago. She has sap, she has better speed, better concealment, and arguably better armor. With the upper belt being 30 millimeters, you can bully 16-inch battleships. Hipper, more fun as a brawler. And with her buff, I guess it's been a couple of years ago now, you know, that ship is very, very good. As for the JXP cruisers, I mean, in the IJN line alone, you have Suzuya and Azuma, and both of those ships are very, very good. Suzuya is the king of HE spam. Sure, she can't push to save her life, but Atago's going to struggle with that as well. I just see much better options out there for as fun as the ship can be, and as much as I like this ship sometimes. She's gorgeous. This is one of my favorite camos in the game. I love the low freeboard. It's just a cool ship. All right, a few seconds left in the match. We are going to see if we can finish the graph off. Now, they ended up losing a ship over on the other side of the map, a battleship, and that kind of balanced it out. But still, we get the graph in the last few seconds and we pull out the win. Overall, I am curious what you guys think of Atago nowadays. Let me know in the comments down below, and don't forget to pick the next ship we're going to be playing. Like, sub, you know what to do. This is Derka signing off. See ya.